Chapter 1: The Inheritance. Emily Hargrove stared at the faded envelope in her hands, the paper yellowed with age and stamped with a postmark from a town she'd never heard of, Millford Hollow. It had arrived that morning, tucked among bills and junk mail, but something about it felt different, heavy, almost foreboding. The return address was from a law firm she'd never dealt with, and inside was a letter informing her that her great-uncle, Elias Hargrove, had passed away. He had left her his entire estate, including an old mill on the outskirts of Millford Hollow. Emily had vague memories of Uncle Elias from her childhood, a tall, gaunt man with piercing blue eyes who rarely spoke and always seemed to be watching her from the shadows during family gatherings. He had been estranged from the family for decades, rumoured to have dabbled in occult practices after a tragic accident at his mill claimed the lives of several workers. Her parents had forbidden her from mentioning his name, dismissing him as crazy old Elias. Now, at 32, single, and stuck in a dead-end job as a graphic designer in the city, the inheritance felt like a lifeline, or perhaps a noose. She decided to drive out to Millford Hollow that weekend. The town was a 3-hour drive from Boston, nestled in the misty hills of rural Massachusetts. As her car wound through the narrow, fog-shrouded roads, the GPS signal flickered in and out. Tall pines loomed on either side, their branches scratching at the sky like skeletal fingers. By the time she arrived, dusk was falling, painting the landscape in shades of bruised purple and grey. Millford Hollow was a ghost of a town. Boarded-up shops lined the main street, and the few residents she saw hurried along with downcast eyes, as if afraid to linger. The mill itself stood at the edge of a sluggish river, its massive stone structure overgrown with ivy and moss. The water wheel, long since rusted still, creaked faintly in the wind. Emily parked her car and approached the heavy oak door, key in hand from the envelope. Pushing inside, she was hit by a wave of musty air, thick with dust and something metallic. Blood? No, just her imagination. The interior was a cavernous space filled with ancient machinery, looms and spindles frozen in time, cobwebs draping them like funeral shrouds. Upstairs, in what must have been Elias's living quarters, she found a sparse bedroom, a kitchen, and a study crammed with books on folklore, alchemy, and the occult. A journal lay open on the desk, its pages filled with frantic scrawls. "They're coming back," one entry read. "The shadows whisper my name. I must seal the door before it's too late." Emily shivered, closing the book. She told herself it was just the ramblings of a lonely old man. That night, she slept fitfully in the creaky bed, dreams haunted by indistinct shapes moving in the darkness. The next morning, Emily explored the mill more thoroughly. Sunlight filtered through cracked windows, casting eerie patterns on the floor. She found a basement door hidden behind a stack of crates, padlocked and etched with strange symbols. Circles intersected by lines, like some kind of warding rune. Curiosity piqued, she searched for the key but found nothing. Instead, she decided to clean up the place, hoping to sell it quickly and return to her life. As she swept the main floor, she heard it. A faint scratching, like nails on wood, coming from within the walls. She froze, broom in hand. Rats, she thought. Old buildings like this are full of them. But the sound grew louder, more deliberate, as if something was trying to claw its way out. That afternoon, she drove into town for supplies. At the local diner, a weathered old woman named Martha served her coffee. "You're Elias's niece, ain't ya?" Martha asked, her eyes narrowing. Emily nodded. "Did you know him well?" Martha glanced around nervously. "Well enough to stay away." "That mill, it's cursed. Back in '58, there was an accident. 5 men died when the machinery jammed. Folks say Elias tampered with things he shouldn't have, summoned something from the other side to boost production. The shadows took those men, and they've been hungry ever since." Emily laughed it off, but Martha's words lingered. Back at the mill, as night fell, the scratching returned, accompanied by whispers. Faint at first, like wind through cracks, but soon they formed words. "Join us!" Emily. She bolted upright in bed, heart pounding. It was just the wind, she insisted to herself. But sleep eluded her, and in the silence, she swore she saw a shadow detach from the wall and slither across the floor. The next day, she found the basement key tucked inside Elias's journal, as if it had appeared overnight. With trembling hands, she unlocked the door. A steep staircase led down into pitch blackness. Flicking on her flashlight, she descended. The basement was a labyrinth of storage rooms filled with rusted tools and forgotten relics. In the farthest chamber,